Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiaojun in Beijing. Now let me take you back to April 1977. It's early spring and a farmer from the backwater village of Peiligang in Henan province is walking hurriedly along a country road to the county town of Xinzheng. He's a young man and on his shoulder he's carrying a heavy sack. In it there is a strange object. Unbeknown to the young farmer, he's carrying an important artifact that will lead to the history of China's agricultural civilization being dated back a further 1,000 years. The young man's family has been living in the village of Peiligang for many generations. The object, which he plans to present to a team of archaeologists in Xinzheng, will lead to the discovery of the site of what will become known as Peiligang culture.
It is April the 2nd, 1977. Li Tiedan, a young farmer from Peiligang village in Xinjiang County, Henan province, is making his way along a country road leading from his village to the county seat. He is carrying on his shoulder a sack weighing several dozen kilograms. The road from Peiligang village to the county seat of Xinjiang is 7 to 8 kilometers long, and after carrying the heavy load an hour or so, the young farmer is sweating profusely. As he trudges onward, the load seems to become heavier and heavier, and his pace gradually slows. "20-year-old Li Tiedan is filled with pride. He believes he's delivering something very precious to the county's cultural centre, something that will bring honour to his clan in Peiligang village. But to get to this point, he had to work his way through an awkward and unpleasant incident that took place in his village a few days ago. Peiligang village is made up of two large clans, the Li clan and the Pei clan, hence the name Peiligang village. In his 20 years in the village, Li Tiedan had never seen any serious conflict between the two clans. They had lived in harmony for generations. But several days before, the people of the two clans had clashed over what seemed to be a relatively insignificant matter. The villagers had been levelling some land on a hillside southeast of the village. Suddenly, a villager belonging to the Pei clan had struck some very hard bricks. After clearing away the soil and removing some broken bricks and tiles, he'd found himself looking at an ancient tomb. As the news had spread, all the villagers had come to the site to take a look at the ancient tomb. Everyone was eager to know if any treasures lay hidden underground, and they began to speculate. A villager of the Li clan cried out, "This is the ancestral tomb of the Li clan. How dare you people of the Pei clan touch it?" Villagers of the Pei clan responded saying, "What is there to prove it's your ancestral tomb? It might be an ancestral tomb of our clan." The villagers of the Pei clan had pushed forward to stake out their claim to the tomb, and those of the Li clan had done the same. In the course of all this, Li Tiedan and a number of other young men of the Li clan had become key players in the debate. The somewhat less impetuous village officials had decided to report the discovery of the ancient tomb in Peiligang village to staff of the county's cultural centre and informed them that the villagers were fighting over its ownership. The village officials wanted the county's cultural centre to send someone over to intervene before things got out of hand. Xu Wen-tan, an official of the county government in charge of cultural relics, rushed off on a bike. As he approached the village, he could see that a crowd had gathered on the hillside, quite literally, with daggers drawn. It looked as if a fight between the two clans was about to erupt at any moment.
到裴立岗东南地一看，群众上100个群众，在那争争吵的。我一看，出土了一个墓葬是小型的砖石墓，从接住的砖的形制和墓的形制看，像是个明代墓，但是这个墓破坏的很严重啊。
The people of the two clans were ready for a fight. Using the most commanding tone he could summon, Xu Wen-tan shouted, "Hold back, all of you." Fortunately, it worked and the crowd calmed down. Xu Wen-tan then changed to a more moderate tone and talked to the antagonistic villagers.
我就给群众说：“我说你们不要吵，我跟大家讲一下，这个墓是个砖石墓，不是贫下中农的墓。我说，不是地主就是富农的墓主人。这几百年以后，到现在咱给他争这个不是地主就是富农这个墓还啥光彩？我这一说嘞，也很起作用，给他上线了，很起作用。他们经理的也不争啊，经北的也不吵啊，就停下来。”
After Xu Wen-tan elevated the situation to a matter of principle, the villagers of the Pei and Li clans fell silent. No one wanted to claim to be the descendant of an evil landlord. A violent clash had been averted. Before leaving, Xu Wen-tan had said to the villagers, "You have found many cultural relics in your village. If you find any more, while levelling land or doing other field work, you must take good care of them, leave them where you found them, and immediately report the matter to the county's cultural centre."
Thus did Xu Wen-tan astutely settle the dispute between the two sides in Peiligang, and the villagers now knew what to do should they stumble on any cultural relics in the future.
As it happens, the work of levelling land southeast of Peiligang village had reached its end, and so the farmers moved to another stretch of land on a hillside west of the village. Several days later, they made yet another unexpected discovery. On April the 2nd, 20-year-old Li Tiedan was one of the villagers levelling the land on the hillside. Suddenly, he struck something with his spade, and it gave off a harsh sound that startled him. Naturally, he wanted to find out what lay beneath. Li Tiedan dropped his spade and began to dig the earth with his fingers. Within a short time, a hard oblong stone slab appeared. It was 70 centimetres long and 30 centimetres wide, and it had 4 short legs. Li Tiedan cried out, "What the hell is this thing buried here?" The other villagers rushed over, but none of them could say what it was. Is it a cultural relic, the type of thing county official Xu talked to us about? Li Tiedan was both excited and agitated. Li Tiedan continued to dig. Before long, he had unearthed a stone roller and a number of pieces of fossilized bone. The more he found, the more he realized that the things he had uncovered were most likely cultural relics. Li Tiedan asked a villager to fetch a sack. When the sack arrived, he put the stone objects in it and prepared to leave. Li Tiedan threw the sack onto his shoulder and began to walk to the county town. He wanted to give county official Xue a surprise. Li Tiedan was determined to carry the stone objects all the way to the county town before the end of the day, no matter how tired he might become. He wanted the official to know that the Li clan of Peiligang village had a high level of political consciousness, but he also knew that these objects would bring honour to the clan. Li Tiedan could have no idea that the heavy stone slab he was carrying on his shoulder would turn out to be one of the most important archaeological finds in China in the 20th century. It would lead to the history of the agricultural civilization of China being dated back a further 1,000 years, and in the process, Peiligang village, the village where Li Tiedan's family had lived for generations, would become famous. Today, the stone slab and roller Li Tiedan delivered to the county official back in 1977 are housed in the Xinjiang Municipal Museum. The note next to the case in which the objects are displayed reads, "Millstone and stone roller unearthed in Peiligang village." When talking about the discovery of Peiligang culture, credit must be given to Xue Wencan. It was he who removed the millstone from the sack brought to the cultural center of Xinjiang County by Li Tiedan and began work on determining its significance. In the 1950s, Xue Wencan had taught at a primary school not far from Peiligang village, and at the time he had seen stone slabs similar to the one delivered to him by Li Tiedan in the village's courtyards. But back then, little thought had been given to what they were used for, or why they were buried in the earth. Later, Xue Wencan was assigned to the county's cultural centre, and in his new capacity, he came into contact with various cultural relics. Villagers had sent in stone millstones and stone rollers on a number of occasions, but no one in the cultural centre knew what period they were from, or even what they were called. The oblong stone slab is rounded at each end. One side, however, is slightly concave, and the other side has 4 short legs attached to it. The cultural centre officials named the object the Stone Saddle Churn. By the winter of 1969, the cultural centre of Xinjiang County had almost 20 millstones and stone rollers in its collection, but little was known about them.
Initially, the stone objects attracted little attention. No one had any idea what they were or where they came from. They were generally assumed to be relics from the Neolithic age.
On February 29, 1972, Henan Daily carried a piece of news under the title "Cultural Relics Excavated in Henan Province." Accompanying the article was a photo of a millstone and a stone roller unearthed in 1965 in Peiligang village. The caption under the photo read, "Millstone and stone roller from a late primitive society." The millstones referred to in the article were from the Neolithic age, and no specific dates were attached to them. When were they made? Which culture did they belong to? And why had none of them ever been found in later cultural strata? Answers to these questions were yet to be found. These questions attracted considerable attention from archaeologists, and they began to seek the answers in the small village of Peiligang. But each millstone had been found independently, and there was very little information on their respective positions in the various cultural layers. Interestingly, no pottery shards had been found alongside any of them. Archaeologists had in fact been working on finding answers to these questions for quite some time. They had already noticed that millstones like the one found in Peiligang village had never been found at any site of Yang Shao culture or the later Longshan culture. But while there was plenty of speculation, there were no definite answers. In 1973, the State Bureau of Cultural Relics solicited cultural relics unearthed during the Cultural Revolution for an exhibition to take place abroad. The Cultural Centre of Xinjiang County decided to submit the stone roller and millstone from Peiligang village. However, in Beijing, it was quickly realised that the millstone and stone roller would arouse keen interest among foreign visitors. Naturally, they would want to know where they were found and when they were made. The State Bureau of Cultural Relics ordered the Henan Provincial Bureau of Cultural Relics to undertake further research. Shortly afterwards, officers in charge of cultural relics at provincial, municipal and county government levels formed a team that was then dispatched to Peiligang village.
到裴立岗访问群众，了解这个出土地点，但都不具体啊，这不清楚了。实际上这具体地点找不着，时代更认识不准了，就没有人知道这文物是啥时代的。
However, despite repeated research efforts in the field, the mystery surrounding the millstone and stone roller from Peiligang village remained. This being the case, the objects were withdrawn from the overseas exhibition. The exclusion of the primitive stone implements from the overseas exhibition shocked the archaeologists in Henan province, and at the Cultural Centre of Xinjiang County, Xu Wensan felt very embarrassed.
北京退回来以后，这文物退到河南省博物馆。75年呢，通知县政，叫领取这文物的，我去了。我去以后，我看到这两件东西以后，心里就沉甸甸的，感到这么好的文物，弄不清出土地点，弄不清时代，感到很惋惜心里很沉重，所以内心里是下决心，要想办法，要弄清这文物时代和出土的地点。从那个时候起就一直挂在心里，就这个问题就挂到心里呀，就。
In the winter of 1975, farmers in Tanghu village, Xinjiang County, were levelling a large stretch of hilly land when they came upon a site of Yang Shao culture. Cui Gang, an official from the Cultural Relics Administration Committee of Kaifeng Prefecture, immediately set up a special team to conduct trial and salvage excavations. At the same time, he also decided to run a training class at the site for interested locals.
崔庚同志很重视，立即就决定在塘湖配合平整土地，举办一个一工一农考古学习班。这个崔庚是这个学习班的主要领导，我协助他工作。这个邀请了有郑州大学的历史系考古专业的老师李有木。 还有密县文化馆的文物干部赵世刚，这同志。
Most of the participants in that first training class were farmers from villages in Xinjiang County. Peiligang ran the training class not only to ensure the best possible result would be achieved at the Yangshao Culture excavation site, but more importantly, to develop a number of specialists among the local residents.
因为这个学习班办得很仓促，也没经费，说这再加上品种土地的很紧，说配合挖掘都挖掘不成，勉强挖掘了就要探沟，挖了一批墓，就是挖的探沟位出土的大部分都是杨韶时期的文物，这几座墓位是凉州时期的墓葬。同时呢，这个驻队干部高贵珍同志呢，他喜欢文物，他收集也不少文物，他收集文物都交给这个县文化馆，其中有一套石磨盘，我看到以后很惊奇。这裴立刚出土石磨盘，这唐户也出土石磨盘，但是在我们挖掘的时候，并没有挖掘到石磨盘。说这个石磨盘还是个谜。
The stone saddle churn and stone roller became the hottest topic among the participants in the training class. But although they did their best to trace the history of the objects over a period of several months, they failed to come up with any answers. In the course of their digs, they had failed to find even an ash pit, let alone another millstone. The result was disappointing and confusing. The excavation of the Yangshao culture site came to an end. The archaeology training class was disbanded and the participants returned to their work units. The mystery of the millstone remained unsolved. However, after Spring Festival of 1977, the Cultural Relics Administration Committees of Kaifeng Prefecture and Xinjiang County set up another archaeology training class at the Xinjiang County Culture Centre. This time, the participants helped with the work of restoring the artefacts unearthed at the Tanghu village site, and they compiled brief reports about the excavation. By this time, people had stopped speculating about the mystery of the millstone, but no one had forgotten it.
The discovery of the Yangshao culture site at Tanghu village in Xinjiang County prompted a series of trial digs and protective excavations. It also led to the opening of an archaeological training class for the locals. Popular interest in the millstones and their origin spread. Apparently, it will only be a matter of time before all the questions about the stone objects were answered. Thank you for staying with us on New Frontiers. Join us again next time for more about the search for the origin of the Milstones of Peiligang. I'm Ji Xiaojun on CCTV International. See you next time.